call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Monday, September 28th. And the primary business of the meeting is to receive and go over the August 2020 financials. And Patty, I wonder whether you would talk to us about that.
Alrighty. If we look at the, can you all hear me through my mask? Okay. If we start with the statement of financial position, also known as the balance sheet, there are a couple of items I would bring to your attention. The cash reserves and other restricted accounts makes it look like we have a great deal of money at hand, but of that 901, 801 are the reserves for debt service for M&T, Tompkins, and the like. So we really don't have much in the way of reserves that are not spoken for.
Mm-hmm.
The accounts receivable are 1.297. Of that, 1,140,000 belongs to all of the projects with the windmill project. So we have 776 from Siemens Gamesa, 290 from Protos, who have 3 of the ships that came in, another 45,000 from New England Steamship Line, which had another couple of the ships that came in. So almost 1.2 million of that belongs to the monies we're due from the wind turbine project.
When you say belongs to,
Mm-hmm. Well, it's associated
yes.
with the wind turbine project.
Mm-hmm.
Of the other monies, probably the biggest one is SkyWest Airlines that had a deferment for a couple of months, and they're starting to pay that back now. But they were probably the biggest of the rest of the folks who owe receivable.
Mm-hmm.
If we go down to current liabilities, our accounts payable looks very skewed right now. Of that 1.7 million, over 620,000 belongs or is associated with the wind turbine project. Primarily the invoicing to Auburn Crane and OMLC. There are some others that are large we have 71,000 that we still owe to the retirement system. We brought that down from 284,
Mm-hmm.
And we will have that paid off in November. We're paying it off in $35,000 a month installments. We still owe McFarland Johnson a bit over 100,000. Volatis Law Firm, 57, and VHB, who was an engineering firm who worked on something.
I believe the rail bridges?
That could be it.
Yes.
Yes. So that's a big portion of the other 400,000 of the additional monies. Otherwise, the balance sheet is pretty much in line with what you would expect on a monthly basis. Any questions?
Well, that being the case, then we're close to around the $1 million point for the accounts payable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The bridge fund, income and expense statement. Our bridge tolls, as we noted prior, we went very conservative with the adjustments on the toll income,
Mm-hmm.
and we've continued to do a bit better than that because of the trucks that have been allowed to come across. Our rental income is down, not by too much. One of the things we have to consider is duty-free is not open. And their contract says that they will pay us a percentage of their sales. But if they don't have any sales, they have a minimum. That, however, is not due until next spring.
Mhm.
So whatever the minimum, I believe the minimum right now, the new contract is about 100,000. It went up from 75
Is that per year?
per year. So as long as duty-free is closed, they would only have that minimum to pay, which would not be due until next spring.
Mhm.
So that I think we will begin to see our rental income go in the negative as we continue with having duty-free closed.
Mhm.
Other income, a majority of our other income is advertising income, and we've had none. The PPP remains at the 430, which is what we received. I'm looking into now, we originally had the PPP for the 8 weeks. It looks as though we can change that to the 24-week. And if we do that, then there will be very little left for us to have to declare. So I'm looking at moving it out the additional 16 weeks. Expenses, one thing, you will notice that the expenses are high under payroll taxes and employee benefits. I did some research, and it appears that when the budget was made, dental and vision was underreported by about $7,000. Retirement, about $20,000 under budgeted, and health insurance was under budgeted by $80,000. So this number will continue to rise over the course of the year.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. What was under budgeted?
Vision and dental by approximately $7,000. What we put in monthly for the retirement by approximately $20,000. And health insurance by approximately $80,000. What the prior CFO put in for instance, for health insurance was $327, and our insurance will be much closer to $415, $420.
And is that because it didn't count the number of employees correctly, or did he under budget the amount, or is the amount increased that much that we're?
No, our increase was actually not nearly as substantial as we thought it would be.
Because I thought that was gonna be, I thought we talked about the increase at one of the budget
I thought we
meetings.
did too.
It was kind of within normal.
Yeah, that's why that $80,000 kind of cuts off the bell there.
Our insurance bill comes in at approximately $36,000 a month, times 12.
Good times.
And when does that change?
The increase came in September 1st.
There's been enough change in staff, so
2020.
it's very hard to figure out why things happen.
Yeah.
And I know that they actually had anticipated a new executive director and still had Steve under operating.
Mhm.
So they had assumed two directors there, and they did have a CFO in place who put down insurance. So I'm very curious as to what happened to
Sure.
the number. But we can expect this to continue to be over budget
Mhm.
for the rest of the year.
So as we move into next year's budget, which we'll plan, remember, then you're saying our budgeted amount for for employee benefits will be higher than this fiscal year.
And Patty, just to make sure I'm understanding, it appears that the expenses for payroll taxes and employee benefits will be close to what they actually were if we looked at last year's statement. You know, a few percentage points above it.
Mhm.
But
But I
the
don't-
budget was a good deal less than the actual.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's,
Okay.
that's the only thing I can take away from that, yes.
Don't need any further information myself.
Okay. Insurance looks very high right now. We used to put insurance in prepaid expenses. However, we never prepaid insurance. What was being done was it was being put there and just siphoned out every month. And but my concern was we actually never did pay it.
Right.
So we moved all of the insurance premiums. This is our commercial, our liability, our auto. And so the expense line right now will look quite high. This, however, should even out over the course of the year.
Sure.
I don't like it, I didn't like it showing up as a prepaid expense when it certainly wasn't ever prepaid. Our interest expense should start going up again. We are, I believe, off the deferments on the mortgages, so that will start going back up again. Maintenance expenses and bridge maintenance. Bridge maintenance is mostly a timing issue. Other maintenance, we're trying to keep our expenses as low as possible. Our general expenses, one of the biggest contributors to the overage in general expenses is our legal. Our legal is budgeted for $91,000 for the year. And if you assume 5 months equals 40%, 42%, then our legal bill should be about $38,000 at this point. It is at $77,000. So that is the majority of our overage. And just to give a little bit of an idea, if we didn't have the PPP, our year-to-date figure for the bridge would be 800,000 in the negative. So this has helped keep us in a bit better situation. Any questions?
I don't completely understand what's going on with interest expense. Interest is not forgiven for this period, even though the payments have been delayed.
Right.
Aren't we functioning on an accrual basis rather than a cash basis?
True, true.
Why don't we have monthly entries for interest?
I don't think they're being made. I will check on that.
And whatever you really recommend as a professional in the business.
No, I would say we should be making them even if we're not paying them. It's like,
Sure,
it's like accounts payable, you don't have to pay it, you just recognize it.
And even if the number has to be adjusted by a few dollars when you actually make the payments,
Mm-hmm.
it'll all come out in the wash.
Right,
But it'll be it'll show the obligation.
right. It's a good point, I will check on that. The port fund by area. There was one question that I bring to the board and ask your guidance. The grant number for the airport of $10,000, it's not very much at this point, but will be as we go on. However, the expenses are charged in construction in progress. And when whatever is finished, it will go into fixed assets. So you never actually see the expense side of the grant income. So it will skew our income line by a little bit. I'm wondering if you would like me to drop that line because we have no expenses to offset that number.
Dave, do you have any insight into that?
Well, I'm just thinking, I think we wanna see the income. But I would let, we should be able to track the expense that goes with that. Which may or may not be really something that's reportable in this statement,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe a ledger of some sort.
Okay,
Is that correct?
we have that information.
You'd
But
like to,
it's-
you'd like to make sure we're spending money. We wanna make sure what we're
Mhm.
spending the money on, which is all what we plan to do, but still, it's nice to have that information. And if that's extra tedious work, say, David, it's okay, but we'll figure out another deal.
I think it wouldn't be too difficult. My concern is it just makes it look like we have more income than we have without any expenses.
How would,
And
where would
that's
that,
not very useful to us.
you won't
Right,
see the
right.
expense you're talking about, won't report any of those,
No. it
even
will-
under, say, general expenses?
No, it will show up on the balance sheet under construction in progress.
Okay,
So it never hits the income statement at all, the expense side.
so you'd like to know what's actually building our asset base
Mm-hmm.
when we get done with that grant, so it should be in some sort of spreadsheet, ledger, something.
Right, which I could present to you, but I would like to take the grant line off the straight income statement, so it doesn't look as though we have additional funding, which we don't have.
I think that would be constructive, and I don't know exactly how to present it, but something that shows income and expense for grants and construction projects
Mm-hmm.
certainly would be informative to me.
Okay.
I've occasionally seen short page that showed sources of income and sources of, or
Uses of funds.
uses of
Mhm.
money, sources and uses, which wasn't at all broken down in the kind of detail that a financial statement is, but just generally said, grants, sales,
Yep.
Right.
and so forth. And I think, gee, something like that sounds to me as if it'd be pretty useful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sources and uses
And then a
of.
lot of the grants have matches to them, like at the airport, where would you put that in the regular?
We get federal money, state money,
Right,
and our portion,
right.
which is almost, that's just an expense to us.
Mhm.
But it is considered part of the grant in many cases, yes.
But I think like Chris said, it's important to see that other side, not just the revenue side,
Mhm.
that we're actually, where we used it.
Yep.
So sometimes I speak before I think it all the way out. But as you go planning this Bridge and Port Authority plan, and you work your plan as you go forward, and board members change and all that kind of stuff, it'd be really nice to know, because we enterprise a lot of this stuff, but a lot of stuff kind of goes like this. And the more I've seen, the more it goes like this. It'd be really nice to know what's going on at the airport exactly, what's going on, and it's not that simple, because we pull people back and forth, we're trying to do that as best we can. But one of the things, when you take a executive director, or you take a director of marketing, or whoever that works here, they're gonna wanna know what they can and can't do, and really right today, we're battling to get our balance sheet in order. It's pretty much in order, I think it's really good, it's way better than it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really help people get direction and goals, and plans, and so I'd like to know if we need to spend, I'm just talking out of my head, if we need to spend $5 million to make 10 at the airport, I'm okay with that, but I wanna know why. So that ledger would help us be able to
Mhm.
figure that out,
Mhm.
to keep track of our spending and where that money's coming in, making sure it's going to good use. And we know, or if the port needs to have three, I mean, we're gonna expand the port down there, so there should be some goals and plans to get more with OMLC, to get more business down there and all that kind of stuff, so I'm really more convinced we need that ledger.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
Every-
good.
Mhm.
Everything on the, just statement of activities for the port is fairly straightforward. The industrial parks utilities appear high. They received the solar company invoice. I'm not certain why it was allocated to the industrial park, possibly because all the other utility expenses for the industrial park get rebilled to the tenants. So I'm only guessing that might be the reason,
Mhm.
but that is why the utilities for the industrial park look higher than everyone else.
I was gonna say, we have more than $600 a month at the airport, or $25 a month at the Marine Terminal.
Because with the solar, during the summer months, almost all of the bills for the outlying entities is zero, because they're able to use the solar. Once the sun, we stop getting the good sunlight during the day, the utility expenses for everyone will go up, and what we pay for the solar will go down. So then we can take that sheet and just do our budget to actual, which is on the next page. The rent.
This is
Yes, dear.
separate, but the question on the solar,
Mhm.
you made a comment, I'm curious. So we still feel the solar project is working out well? We know money in, money out, same deal, but with the money we spent there, because we're talking another solar, or something solar.
But we wouldn't use that solar, would we? That would simply be to farm out, my understanding.
Correct, but there's still money attached to rental of grounds and things. So I would like to know what the solar's getting us, netting us again,
Right now,
right now from our solar farm. And I think we've seen that before, but I think that's prior to you.
I believe so, and I think we would have to go back a few years to get what invoices would be at, say, the FBO office at the airport. I wouldn't know, because right now they're coming through as zero. We know how many kilowatts are being used,
Mhm.
so it's something we could likely figure out to see if we're saving a great deal of money using the solar.
Do we have any expense for the current solar operation?
We pay a monthly fee for it. And we pay, if I understand this correctly, we pay AEP, and AEP sells the solar to National Grid.
Yep, and then we get credits back.
Then we get credits
Right.
back on our bills.
Yeah.
But what we're paying for the solar is $16,000 to $17,000 a month in the summer. So it would be probably a wise move to really look at the kilowatts per hour
Mhm.
times the amount that's on the bill if we actually paid it.
Mhm.
And then we could see how much we're actually saving. I would guess we're saving maybe 7%.
I think you're high. Just in my opinion.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to know, because
Yes, it would.
I'm just curious, because I don't think it's that much.
No, I don't either.
And,
I would say 3 to 4%.
But I don't want you to go spending all your time trying to figure that out. You have plenty of other things to do, but if it's something easily done, that'd be great to know.
Because on the bill, it should pay the cost per kilowatt.
It does, but
And then
we
you can see what it
just,
would be, well, because we have National Grid in other parts, so you know what the cost per kilowatt is there.
mm,
Compare the two, and that should give us an idea. But I'm still thinking it's a pretty low percentage. And I don't think it was a matter of us saving a lot of money with that, but that we could use that because it's green
mhm.
and,
Well, that helped follow in with the governor's mandate and all that, which I'm all fine with,
Yeah.
that's all fine.
yeah,
So I just was curious.
Mhm. And we wanna know if it actually cost us money.
yes.
I should be able to pull that together. Because we do have the kilowatts on the bill, and if you take, say, the August bill, it has listed January through July, so it's not as though I have to go through 1,000 bills, I can just take one bill and away we go.
It's okay to say that you might take you a little time to do that too.
You will.
I just wanna let you off the hook a
Next-
little bit.
Next finance committee meeting, we should be able to have that.
Okay.
So if we look at our budget to actual for the port fund, the rental increase is partly due to Veritas buying out its lease and paying us all of it
Mhm.
by the end of August. So that will likely balance out over the year. The fuel sales and fare charges are, of course, way down. The port operating and rental fees, salt was budgeted to begin arriving in August, and so were wood pellets, and that hasn't happened until September.
Mhm.
At least for the salt, the wood pellets, I haven't seen any come through yet.
We actually budgeted for wood pellets this year.
Wood pellets, beer, grain, other grain, wood pellets, salt, there's a whole list.
Yeah, don't want college
No,
None?
No wood pellets.
not this year. I think that was a wish and a prayer.
The wind turbine project is really timing. Our FAA grant that we've spoken about. Other income, I'm surprised we're doing as well as we are, but the other income also includes that insurance proceed that bolstered other income.
Mhm.
But our airport parking only came in at $4,500 this month. August and September are considered our low months, so it was only supposed to be about $1,000 more than that these 2 months. But the original budget is approximately 20,000 in the other months. And the CARES Act, you can see we've used overall so far this year 742,000 out of the 2.4 million. Salaries and wages in that overage are the paid longshoremen for the ships.
Mhm.
Everything else is relatively on target. As we are trying to cut back on what we're spending on almost everything. And again, if you look at the bottom, the change in net assets after depreciation without the CARES Act, we would be at $950,000 in the red at this point. Questions?
None from me. Sam, do you have questions?
Nope.
No.
If there's nothing else, I do have a request. authority to shut the meeting down.
I think that covers what I anticipated. You have a point?
Yes, there's a question I have regarding one of the items in here, but I think we should talk about it in executive session.
Would you make a motion to go into executive
I
session?
will.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.